Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Now come on in. Now come. Sorry, y'all. Y'all know I'm weird. Whatever.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl BondyBlue. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl BondyBlue. Okay, follow me on Instagram and let's get into the video. Right?
I'm back. Oh, girl, I had to eat a little bit. Hold up. Hold up, y'all. I'm trying to. Why would that be? Oh, I'm trying to get this picture in here. Girl. What do you mean? Oh. Yeah, I got too many in here. Really? You hoes. Yeah, we about to get into Strictly Business. I don't know if y'all have seen this one. This is like a cult classic for me. Like, I was watching it with Lyric. Lyric had never seen it before, but I've seen it many times. It was one of my faves growing up. Um, just because Halle Berry was just that girl in this movie. Also, the song that they play on the movie, you called and told me that you wanted to leave. But it seems that you don't wanna leave me. Dun, 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 dun. Listen, we were so happy together when we first met. That's my shit. Okay. But you started acting crazy. Now, baby, what's happening? Yeah. Oh, my love, what I'm doing. You know me knowing the words. All right. So let's get into Strictly Business. Okay. This is a very interesting one. Okay. So if you've never seen this movie, don't worry, girl. I'm going to break it all the way down for you. Okay. In the Now That We're Grown series, where we look at movies and TV shows from back in the gap that we may have loved or liked, and then we just kind of dissect them from a different lens. Let's look at it now that we're grown and frontal our frontal lobes have grown. Let's see what we feel about it now. So let's get into it. I noticed something this time that I never noticed all of the other times that I've watched this movie, which is that Bobby's mom is the neighborhood nanny. The thing you start to realize about Tommy Davidson's character is he is like the example of a certain type of young black man during this time, right? During this time, there is a force to assimilate, forced to comply if you want to get out of the hood. If you want to get out of the ghetto, you have to self-abandon in order to get there. And that is what is being sold to the youth of the time, which this is the 90s. So this is after Black Panther. This is during crack epidemic times. Like, at the end of the day, we know what the fuck is going on, and we know the government has a hand in why we live the way we live. Even though we don't know exactly what's going on, we know that we are being treated badly in the situation. So the idea of walking up to Whitey, who we already feel has fucked over us time and time again, to come up to Whitey, like, yeah, I'm going to change myself. I'm going to get a big ass, as Martin would say. And, I'm going to cut my hair in a way that doesn't have a fucking line in. Like, I'm going to just look like I'm going to assimilate. I'm going to look like a white boy. I'm going to talk like a chocolate white boy to make y'all happy. But we got to see what it really does to Wayman throughout the film. And I feel like they really didn't delve that deeply into it, but they gave you enough breadcrumbs for you to get the point. I saw somebody bring up a dude from the Cosby Show. Yes, did that. Yeah, he is from the Cosby Show and from Living Single. Y'all forget like that last season of Living Single when somebody came and financially supported her business. It was him, by way of somebody else. But anyway, still playing that same corporate kiss ass type of role. I think he probably gets put in that role a lot. The type of black man that most of us think is with a white woman. Yeah. The uptight guy, no swag, just lame. Smart though, book smart. Might have been a nerd, might have been a geek, might not have grown up around any like rough and tumble black kids, might have had to always be the black kid representing for the blacks amongst the white people. Like that's also a possibility, especially when we heard him talk about his parents. But yeah, we'll get into that. L7, is that what they call them? Why they call them L7s? I feel like I've heard that before, but why do they call them that? Anyway, let's get into it. So Bobby is sleeping in his mom is sleeping in. His mom is the neighborhood nanny. His mom is telling him to get up, but it's not until one of the children is jumping on his bed does he actually get up. And he threatens to body slam the kid. And he asks his mom, why didn't she wake him up for his job? So what I'm already seeing in this situation is if your mama has already been the neighborhood nanny, that means she's been helping raise other people's kids, which may mean that you didn't always get the attention that you wanted to get because she had to give it to somebody else's child. So now you're resentful and you weaponize incompetence. So now, even though you're a grown ass man, you need your mom to help you get up in the morning as if you're not a grown ass man who should be able to get up on your own. Now, I do feel like Square got you. She had to I know I got the con I got the context. I didn't realize that it was called L7. Make physical square. Oh, got you. L7. Got you. Got it. I don't know why. Like my stupid ass was thinking, like, was that an area that niggas used to be in? Like, what is that? Is that a ward? I don't know. Okay, what is that? A stop on the train? What is that? A bus stop, bitch? Like it could have been anything. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, so already Bobby is working on my nerves because Bobby is it's everybody else's fault. External locus of control. I'm a victim. Like that's what it gives off rip. So, and I do feel like on some level his mother must have coddled him. Even though she's responsible for the neighborhood kids, she had to have coddled him at some point because why the fuck do you need her to tell you to wake up in the morning? So, while he's going through all that, Wayman is across town up early working out, okay? And then getting off to his job where his mother figure slash assistant manages his emotions. I noticed that about him as well. And to me, that also was a form to show us that on at some level in the parenting, in the mothering, there is some coddling. And I really feel like sometimes this showcases is mothers having a lack of discipline with the way they handle their boys. Sometimes I think boys need more regimented like lifestyles than girls do. And because of that, if they don't get that, like if they, beg you to, oh, mom, please don't. Please let me do this, mom. Please let me stay up late. Please let me do this. Please let me. They'll do that until they tire you out. Girls won't do that as much, but boys will continue to ask you some shit until they tire you out and they get their way. And so then, like, that starts to, I think, to set the example for why they can have these emotional outbursts. And some woman is supposed to be there to coddle that emotion, right? To baby that emotion. And his assistant was definitely acting in that role for him. She's an older white lady, very soft demeanor, and she did a lot of work for him. And he would oftentimes, I feel like, overshoot what he could accomplish, knowing that he would be able to put a lot of the work on this white lady. Okay. And I just thought that was very interesting. An interesting dynamic to show that at this time there is still a level of misogyny in the way people view assistants and secretaries, in a way that I think sometimes might take precedent or not even take precedent, but be happening at the same time as the misogyny, because we're going to get to that. So, uh, when Wayman first walked in that morning, because I didn't put it in my notes, when he first came to work that morning, him and David, the villain of the story, the white guy all the way at the end next to Deidre over here in the middle, he walks up to the desk and speaks to the lady at the front desk, Donna, I think her name was, and she kind of rolled her eyes at him, like had an attitude. It's a white girl. She had an attitude with him. And everybody peeped it. Wayman was like, "What's up with that?" Just a bitch. But no, he's an ain't shit ass dude. He's probably done some snake ass shit, like ask her out on a date, assault her, or they have a date and then he come back to work and tell everybody that they had sex even though they didn't, or they did have sex, but the way you tell it to everybody is like she's some hoe that you bagged, and now the next guy can go up to her and try to fuck her too because she's an easy pull. That kind of, that's the vibe it gives. That's the vibe it gives. Very, very elementary mindset ass nigga, okay? But David ain't shit. So I just want y'all to be clear. And then also the misogyny, what's happening to the women who are assistants or secretaries at this job. As a woman, I'm going to pay attention to that. Like, this movie is about men, except for if a woman is a servant, like the assistant and like the mom taking care of kids, or like Natalie. Natalie is the beautiful, fanciful one that they're looking after, right? That's the one that they want to encapsulate. Free spirited woman, beautiful woman. I want to put her in a jar. I want to poke holes in it, but I want to put her in a jar. Like, that's the idea there. Okay. So Wayman is trying to close this big deal with I believe some Koreans who are wanting to buy a huge piece of real estate in Manhattan that Wayman's real estate agency owns. So they're trying to sell this property to them. Wayman calls his boss in to meet them, and he interrupts David, who is talking to the boss. Like I've described him as a creepy white boy who is pitching some idea that we didn't get to hear. But what we did understand in that moment is that David wants to be perceived as important, but somebody else is more important who's actually doing the work. So what we are seeing in this business is that the reason why Wayman is able to get ahead is because Wayman is willing to do the work. David is not. David wants to get over because he's white. David thinks he should just be able to show up, do bare minimum, and then get promotions and be that guy. But here comes Wayman that has probably been told his entire life from his both very like successful and intelligent, educated black parents, because that's what Wayman seems like he comes from. Bill Cosby, type vibe, right? Parents had money, had success, maybe owned their own business, whatever it was, but you were raised by somebody that was telling you had to be 2 times as good in order to get somewhere. And so far, that's worked for you because this is the early 90s where these rules still work. Once you got to my generation, we were the ones that were still being taught those rules, but those rules didn't apply once we got into the workspace. Because now ass kissing is better over merit. Because what ends up happening is the people that are actually good at the jobs that do the work, they retire. They don't want to do this forever. They want to leave. And so who ends up being put in a position after them is the guy that ass kissed the most. When the guy who ass kissed the most becomes the boss, then he starts to make everybody else ass kiss. It's not about them being good at the job because he was never good at the job. It's about who's going to kiss the most ass, right? They haven't gotten to that point yet in this business because in real estate, it's based off of your hours, your money, like what you bringing in. Okay. How much are you selling? What clients have you brought in? How much are you tallying for the money you've made for this firm? That's what matters in this setting at this time. Right. So that's why the white boy David is very disgruntled with Wayman. He pretends like he's friends with Wayman. Oh, Wayman, we were just talking about you, Wayman, but all of these microaggressions. And it's like when you notice that these people actually hate you, but they pretend as if they like you because they're trying to be a snake in the grass, trying to use you, trying to keep with the status quo, but there is a underlying deep resentment for a black person that is doing well in, a business, in a corporation, whatever, because there's always some white boy there that feels like he should have got the job simply because he's white. And then they do what they've accomplished now, which is getting rid of DEI, which was affirmative action back then. And David even says that the only reason, our affirmative action hire, when everybody knows the reason why Wayman is there is because he works his ass off and he's good at his job, not because of affirmative action. But affirmative action made you hire him. There were always black people. And girl, when I tell y'all, I used to be so fucking aggravated and I'm still aggravated, but I don't have to explain it as much now. Prior to the election, as we were gearing up for voting day, I would have to keep talking about this and explaining this shit to people because even black people, like back in the day, black people understood what affirmative action was. And they understood that white people do not hire you if they are not incentivized to, because they only want to be surrounded by their own people, even if it means that their business doesn't do as well. We've always known this about white people, essentially, that they want to be around only them, and them being forced to be around us through integration has caused a plethora of outcomes. One outcome is that, okay, some white people are less racist because they are around black people and they work with them and they know that they work just as hard because we work the same job and everybody be working, but essentially those people are still raised by the people that they're raised by, in church, in religion, sadly enough, will always come in to course correct them actually thinking outside of what they're taught. And when they get older, they always go back to church. So then the racism that is already prevalent in their church will re-incentivize the racism that they were trying to get away from by being around other people, right? So that's one outcome. The other outcome is you're going to see white people see that they can use black people. David is trying to use Wayman in some respect when he realizes he can't use Wayman because Wayman does not give him access to him because Wayman is not an idiot. Yeah, you smiling in my face, but you must think I'm fucking stupid because I hear you shading me. I see what you're saying. I'm not dumb. So no, I might smile and I'm cool with you, but I don't fucking trust you. So no, I'm not going to be helping you in any way. Right. So now David wants to destroy him because you can't get in off his back. Girl, it's exhausting. And that's why, a lot of times you be talking to some of these black men. And I'm just saying because I'm always on TikTok, y'all. So when I'm on TikTok, all of the debates come up. So I hear so often it's seemingly young black men, 20s, that, maybe even 30s sometimes, that it's like you've never worked a real job before. Because if you ever worked a real job, if you ever had to work in corporate America, if you ever had to be up for promotions against other people, you will see how black people are treated in environments where it's as if it's, everybody's fine with black people being there, but you still know that you're being treated differently. You still know that they are happier to promote other people, that they're going to, view y'all all being together as a problem. Like it's so many microaggressions and things that we have to deal with when working around white people, that I know that a lot of these niggas online that be running a mouth about what goes on about affirmative act, you never had a real job. You've never really had to work for anybody if that's what you think. Like, I automatically know that if they're not incentivized to hire you, they won't. And if they can discriminate against you, they will. It's exhausting. So yeah, Bobby is obnoxious as fuck, okay? Tripping on the ground to get a woman's attention, like and the woman stops, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, baby, I'm falling for you." Dumb shit like that. Like, a lot of women would think that's cute, but this woman looked like she was on her way to an actual job. And that was another thing, him playing on emotions. Like, this woman is on her way somewhere. Like, the woman in the shot has a suit on, you know what I'm saying? Briefcase. This lady got a fucking job to get to that probably pays her way more than his ass is making in the mailroom. But he gonna trip and fall on the floor and play on her emotions to get her attention. And then when she realizes that he wasn't really hurting, he was just trying to get her attention, she just walks off. Like, fucking idiot. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's like also an extension of what I already said about Bobby, right? Bobby has a tendency to play on people's emotions so that he doesn't have to do the uncomfortable thing, right? The uncomfortable thing may have been to just straight up ask the lady out and have to deal, hey, how you doing? Like, dealing with that and her walking away from you. No, you would rather do something like trip and fall on the fucking ground and create a calamity of the situation. Same thing with him being at the job. You would rather like be an asshole to everybody and act a fool and steal paper and all of that, and then get mad that you're not getting the promotion. So his homeboy in the mailroom, which played by what's your boy name from him and his brother. I hate when I space on people and I know who the fuck they are. Let me pull it up though. Cause girl, it's gonna aggravate me until I do. Okay. Uh, where is it at? Now, how y'all gonna not have him up here like he wasn't in this movie? That's so disgusting. Y'all help me. Chicago. What's Chicago real name? Joe. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Somebody understood what I meant. Is it Joe Torre? Joe Torre is the oldest and Guy is the youngest. Yeah, I think it was Joe Torre. Joe Torre is the homeboy in the mailroom, and y'all, it definitely reminds you of when he played Chicago on Poetic Justice. I think Poetic Justice came out after Strictly Business, But either way, they was playing the same fucking role in this mailroom. I was like, why is Joe Torre always working in somebody's fucking mailroom, bro? That shit is hilarious. Anyway, so his homeboy is in the mailroom and says that he doesn't know how he parties all night. Bobby will go out and party all night long, and then that's why your ass can't get up in the morning, and that's why when you get to work, you all tired and you don't want to do your job. Okay. So basically, you setting yourself up to fail because you out all night partying. Even his homeboy is saying, I'm not doing that, nigga. If I gotta come to work the next day, I gotta be inside by midnight. Um, he's also very late. So his boss, played by Samuel L. Jackson, y'all, which is so hilarious to me. Samuel L. Jackson, his name was Marrero in this role. And he is very much given like ass kissing, Uncle Tom type of person, which is so funny since, eventually he plays that character in Django Unchained, that very, yeah, typecasting, child. They do typecast. But it's funny because I feel like Strictly Business must have been right after, excuse me, y'all, right after Jungle Fever. Jungle Fever. Because Miss Girl right here, Halle Berry and Samuel L. Jackson both played, crackheads. She was his girlfriend in what I just said, Jungle Fever. Child, not Stephen A. Smith. He was playing he was playing Stephen. That's so funny. But yeah, so the connection of these people in this movie, it kind of seemed like just another movie for some of these black faces to be in, like Joseph C. Phillips, who's Wayman. And at the time, Samuel L. Jackson's first role, I believe, him and Halle Berry, I think that might have been both of their first movie roles. It might have been in Jungle Fever. But yeah, she was his crackhead girlfriend in Jungle Fever, and then they were in this right after, I believe, 1991. Child, I can't remember the years especially like between 91 and 93. I never know which year it was. But anyway, y'all. So my role has it in for Bobby because Bobby's a fucking slacker. Bobby don't ever do what he's supposed to do. Bobby always coming in late, and Monroe is getting blamed for it. So Monroe ain't really fucking with Bobby, and he wants to get rid of him. So Monroe screams and tells him that I'm the boss, okay, and to get his late ass to work pronto. He forgot to get a certain copy of a file that he was supposed to get for Wayman. He didn't get it. So then Monroe ends up getting blamed and having to cover for what Bobby didn't do the night before. Bobby wants to be in real estate, but you're in the mailroom and not upstairs doing real estate. His friend Wayman upstairs, Wayman Tinsdale the third, is supposed to help him. That's the idea. But Bobby finds out that another white boy who worked in the mailroom, he went through the training program and now he is working at a higher level. I'm guessing that's some form of assistant to one of the real estate agents, to David. His name is Gary. So Gary now has come up out of the mailroom, but him and Bobby are still cool. At first, Bobby was hating a little bit. Like, hey, bro, like, you know what I'm saying? I did what I was supposed to do. You be real with yourself. You don't be doing what the fuck you supposed to do. But this is another example of how the white boy, even if he's slacking just like Bobby was, he'll get pulled up by another white boy just because, right? Again, with the whiteness helping. Because y'all think people really think white privilege isn't real because black people they're looking at black people. Like y'all are both at the job. You see a black person. At one point, y'all was working the same job. You get promoted before they did, even though they might have been working there longer. So for instance, why the fuck wasn't Joe Torre? Joe Torre's character looked like he was always on time, always on his job. Why didn't he get promoted to the training program? Probably because he didn't have nobody there that was gonna like help him up. Me and my husband talk about this all the time. It's about who you know most of the time. Most of the time. I got my job at the news station because my cousin knew a photographer that knew one of the photographers at the news station. Then when I interviewed with him, he knew who my sister was. And so then that's how I got the job. Now, once you get the job, I was able to keep the job because I'm a good worker. I'm hard. I'm a hard worker. I'm going to do the job. But yeah, no, they will, it's always about who you know, girl. But Wayman is supposed to hook Bobby up. So he has the in, But Bobby isn't taking advantage of the situation because Bobby doesn't want to assimilate. Bobby doesn't want to stop dressing like he's going to play basketball after. He come in there, he has to put on a smock and all of that, but he got a hat on his head, a hat backwards on his head, which is an act of rebellion. Bobby is still trying to rebel in this space. And I totally understand it because when I worked at the news station, I did rebel. I didn't rebel in a way of how I presented myself. I'm always going to present myself in a certain manner, but I absolutely had my moments of rebellion and I took them. Like, for instance, this whole idea like about authority, like I never agreed with the idea, because they were, do your write-ups, your quarterly write-ups to show your good work. And I would always get, oh, she works really well. She's a hard worker, but she has a problem with authority. And I remember thinking to myself, a problem with authority? Who the fuck do y'all think is an authority? I'm an adult. Because in my mind, I thought, yeah, we work together, but why do you think just because you're a manager at this job, I have a problem with authority? As if I don't follow instructions well? See, because to me, having a problem with authority would mean I don't want you telling me what to do because ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do. No, 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 no. You just want to be able to dictate the type of person that I am. You want me to be fake. You want me to kiss your ass. And I feel like, no, if I'm actually doing the work, I shouldn't have to kiss your ass. So now you're writing up in all of my reports that I have a problem with authority because you think your little ass should have authority over me because we work this job together. And that's how a lot of the times these jobs are like, basically no matter what they say energetically, what it felt like to me. Black people, y'all have to assimilate. Y'all have to fall in line. We know that we're suffocating you, but we know that you need this job. So if we want to step on your fingers, step on your toes, if we want to strangle you a little bit, if we want to like basically, rub it in your face that we're the boss and we're the authority and you have to do what we say because you need this job, like that's the vibe. And it's weird as fuck. But it shows you how they just wanna be bosses of other people so badly. Like, just so badly to the fact that they don't understand this is a job. You are not the authority over me as an individual, and it's weird for you to even say that. Yeah, they wanna subjugate you. It's very, very weird, but that's the energy. Um, so he and his boss go to lunch. Wayman and his boss go to lunch and he sees Natalie at the restaurant. She was a hostess, but she came late because she was out late as well. So she gets cussed out and fired. Well, not she didn't cuss him out. Well, I'm fucking it up, y'all. I'm sorry. She cusses him out and knocks her bag over, but the man fired her and kept calling her Missy, who's another like disrespectful thing. Missy, like I'm a little girl or something like that. Like you're sunning me. Like, boy, fuck you and his job. You know what I'm saying? So because because Natalie is somebody that's working in a club business. That's not her real job. She has headshots. So this is somebody that's trying to do something with themselves, whether, she was a dancer, she's trying to be a model, now she's running the clubs and hosting parties and stuff. Whatever Natalie is doing, Natalie is hustling. Natalie has multiple jobs. She doesn't just need the one job. So when she was tired of it and the guy was treating her like shit, then it was like, fuck it. And I'm gonna make a scene in this bitch too. Whole time, Wayman is starry-eyed, staring at her as all of this happens. When her bag falls on the ground, he runs over to help her, and he ends up having one of her pictures left. And then the maitre d' who had just fired her, I believe that was the maitre d', comes over to ask him if everything was okay, like she was bothering him or something. Girl, and then Wayman's controlling, equally successful girlfriend calls, weaponizing his affections for her. So we don't know what happened between Wayman and Deidre before the movie starts, but apparently Wayman and Deidre were in some relationship and then they broke up. What we are to see about Deidre is that she is uptight, but she is high strung and uptight worse than Wayman is because it's like, I have to get married and I have to have kids and I have to have this perfect life on top of the fact that I have to be successful. And then she's also prejudiced. So All of the things about Wayman, she is just the hyper version of who Wayman is, which is why on paper they look like a good couple. But the truth of the matter is, it sounds like they were trying to stereotype successful business women and make them seem like the successful business women or are either, stupid over dick, or they're not even fully enjoying the relationship because they want an image over the value of the relationship. Yeah, they were stereotyping the fuck out of the business girlies, and I ain't like it. I didn't. It almost felt like you're only valuable, like, as a woman in this movie, you're really only valuable if you can be coddling some man, and Deidre was not coddling Wayman. Like, she might have been trying to control him, but she was not coddling that nigga, okay? And neither was, Natalie when it came down to it, but for the first half of this movie, y'all, the funny part about it is, it really is about Wayman being obsessed about Natalie. And then him and Bobby's bromance. That's what it's really about. We barely even see Natalie in the movie, if you really think about it. When I really sat back and watched it, I believe Natalie had more scenes towards the end of the movie, but she has this scene, and then we don't see her until she's dancing in the club. Then we see her dancing in the club. The next time we see them at a bar that it seems like she might be a hostess at that bar, right? We see her there. After that, I think he might have went out on a date with her. Um, but mostly I just kind of feel like we weren't even able to really find out a lot about her. We know she wanted to be a dancer at some point, but that was really hard, doing that and trying to live. So she's working all of these jobs. Now she started hosting these parties. Like, that's what we knew about her. But I really felt like she was just a fairy. Like, she was just a fairy. She was just a figment of this nigga's desires, right? Just a figment of his desires. That's all she really was. And it was just kinda weird to watch it back this time around and realize that she didn't have that many talking parts, that, you kinda saw her few and far in between, but the way this movie is promoted, it's as if she's the main character, and she wasn't really the main character the way she could have been. It really was more so about Bobby and Wayman's bromance than it was about anything. Anyway, so Bobby sees Wayman looking at the picture of Natalie and says that he doesn't know how he got a picture of her, but she's too fly for him. Pencil dick. Weak. He started just saying that the man's dick was little. Yeah, I know this was the Andre Harrell movie. Um, I'm sorry, y'all. I skipped the part. So before he went to when he came back from lunch with his boss, he came back with the headshot, and Bobby is sitting in this man's office eating Chinese food with his feet up on this man's desk, talking on the phone with a woman. And Wayman is pissed off. Wayman is like, "What if I would have came back with a client and you in here got my place, my office smelling like all of this cafeteria food? You on my phone and shit. Like, what are you doing?" And then he eventually tells Bobby, "I don't know why you have to act so." And then Bobby says, "Black." He was like, "Well, yeah. Why do you have to act so black?" Eventually, Bobby just has this sad look on his face and walks out. When Wayman said this, I feel like it's not blackness that you're talking about, even though they really do want you to self-abandon to be a part of whatever it is, right? That's why we so tired of this shit at this point, because we now recognize that y'all are telling us that we have to self-abandon to be in this job or in this system, whatever. It's exhausting as fuck now. That's one thing. But what Bobby was doing was, you weren't making a real effort and you thought you should be handed shit. That's what I think. Like, I think that he called this dick a pig in a blanket. He called it that too. That was also kind of white. But anyway, yeah, I just kind of feel like it wasn't him being black. It was him not having any decorum. It was him not knowing how to come in, do his job, do the work, and take his ass home or whatever. He didn't know how to do that. He had to come in and clown. He had to come in and let everybody know, I'm rebelling. I'm not going to do what y'all want me to do. Okay, well then you're not going to get the job. That's basically what it is. Wayman has been groomed and raised to understand that. Bobby, for some reason, doesn't understand this. And I'm guessing it's because his mama worked for herself and never had to like show how she had, because that was a cross she didn't have to bear. If she was always helping in like a nanny in the neighborhood, that means that people were always paying her. That's her own business. She doesn't have to go and deal with some white person in order to make her money. But when you do have to go and work in spaces with white people, you have to do a level of smiling, grinning it, and bearing it until you can go home at the end of the day. So yeah, fast forward to Bobby seeing the picture of Natalie. You're not gonna get Natalie. You too whack for her. You too lame for her. Okay, she is all that, and you're not gonna be able to get her. So then we see David, the creepy white boy, and he's saying that he wants a partnership. And when his buddy tells him that Tinsdale is the one that's gonna be getting partner next, he says the token black isn't going to use affirmative action to steal his job. And that's exactly what them motherfuckers are out there thinking right now. It is crazy to me that such like a idea that was so ignorant back in the day that it was said, but the way this movie played out, they eventually knocked this nigga out. The white men that actually worked there really were impressed, like almost crazily so. The white men were very impressed with Wayman. And they didn't really fuck with David like that. They played like they did, but they didn't fuck with David like that because David wasn't really doing the work. Wayman was. So yeah, he feels like affirmative action stole his job. Wayman comes in and he's only there for a non-alcoholic beverage and he's back to work. David tells him to stop working so hard. Yeah, you want me to stop working so hard so that you can get my fucking job, bitch ass nigga. Um, and then he says, they start talking about how another guy who is sitting at the bar and he's all drunk and depressed, and it's because he just got fired, I think. He basically bought up a whole bunch of properties in the hood because this is right before gentrification starts, right? So apparently the neighborhood that they tried to gentrify, it didn't work. And so the guy ends up losing his job. So David is talking about it like, yeah, who would buy property in that neighborhood in Harlem? It's a pipe dream, which is hilarious because y'all know Harlem is not what it used to be anymore. Um, but yeah, so David says that it was a pipe dream, and not even Wayman would be caught dead in Harlem. So this is another microaggression, a moment to separate Wayman from the rest of the blacks and say, see, even Wayman, even his black ass wouldn't be around those blacks. He's a different black. And the other guy is like, Wayman might have grew up in Harlem, man. So that's even more racist. Like you assuming that I grew up in a place like black people didn't grow up all over fucking New York. Ridiculous, right? So these both of these people are racist and don't realize their varying degrees of racism. One of them is like ignorantly racist, and the other one is like maliciously racist, right? So Wayman peeps it. Wayman just, he was uncomfortable. You could tell he was annoyed by it, but he just laughed it off. Oh, you guys. All right, I got to get back to work. And then he leaves and goes back to work. But on his way out, he turns around and looks at them like bitch ass niggas. And I'm like, see, you don't like how that feels neither. So why did you turn around and do that shit to Bobby? There was a different conversation to have with Bobby, but because you don't know how to manage your own emotions, everything always comes out so frustrating, right? Wayman a lot of the times does not know how to have conflict with people he believes is beneath him without this energy of exasperation. Like you working on my fucking nerves, right? But when you talking to your boss and all of that, your head is up and you're so fucking sorry. I can't stand that. Yeah, I really don't. I don't like that. If you are sorry, have the same energy whenever you're sorry, but don't be bootlicking because you think somebody is more powerful than you. That's just weak to me. Anyway, Bobby gets caught copying flyers for his party featuring Natalie, and Monroe finds him and accuses him of stealing and fires him. But Wayman comes in and takes the fall once he sees that Bobby is printing out flyers with Natalie's face on it. So now herein lies the very problematic thing that Andre Harrell put in this film. And when you think about Andre Harrell, his connection to Diddy and what Diddy has done with women and all of that, Wayman and Bobby had a business deal that basically said Bobby is going to get Wayman access to Natalie for a business opportunity. If that's not currency, if Bobby did not use Natalie as fucking currency to get a promotion, I don't know nothing. Using women as fucking currency and then turning around and feeling like you got to worry about a woman being a gold digger, it really pisses me off. It really pisses me off. Very transactional, but it's not just about it being transactional. It's about the fact that you are asking, it's made like it's not that serious, right? Like, oh, I just want you to hook me up with her. Why did that have to be an agreement that, oh, if you give me this promotion, or Wayman really is the one that presented this, because Wayman is the fucking weirdo, right? Wayman is the one that saw this woman, has now become obsessed with her. And even though he didn't give a fuck about Bobby, he wanted to get rid of Bobby himself at some point. He treated Bobby like shit when it was convenient for him. Like, let's be real. Yes, you like to hang around Bobby and all of that, but it's probably because Bobby didn't make you feel like shit about being black the way the white men did. You probably felt more comfortable around Bobby simply because Bobby was black. Bobby was always trying to use Wayman as somebody to give him a leg up. Like, I see this, goofy, lame, black guy. I could tell he just kind of want to fit in and all of that type of shit. Like, he wants to fit in with a black person or a cool person. This is what happened in school, right? You would see the lame, square ass black guy, and Bobby is supposed to have all this swag. So normally you would have the upper hand in a situation. He, I believe, was gaming Wayman the entire time when it came to that promotion. You was using Wayman. Wayman then decides he's going to use you, but to get this woman. Yeah. And I'm sorry, y'all, but I just think it's weird. Why are y'all selling this bitch behind her back? Because that's basically what it felt like to me. Now, of course, it was all up to Natalie if she was gonna fuck with him or not. But did it really seem that way? Did it really seem like he had done enough for her to want to date him? Like, did it make sense to y'all why she was interested in him, except for the fact that Bobby was co-signing him? Like, it definitely gave. Natalie is one of my hoes. And I'm gonna make sure that she gets into the right hands of the right type of guy. Like, I don't know what nobody else is looking at, but that's the underlying thing that's happening with this movie. Wayman goes to play squash with his girlfriend Deidre, who he just got back together with 2 weeks ago now. She's talking about the fast track to marriage by summer, but these people just got back together. They don't even really like each other. Then she goes to lunch with her homegirl and gloats about her relationship with Wayman and how she's so smart because she chose a man with her mind and not her heart. She seems to know more about relationships than her two homegirls. So they're sitting there kind of soaking up her wisdom. And she says one of them just broke up with a guy she knew wasn't good enough for her. And the other is saying that maybe she's better off alone. But Deidre says, absolutely not. Look at me and Wayman. Kim Coles is one of her friends. So Kim Coles says, what about passion? Good sex till you can't stand up straight. I need that. Girl, I love that moment. I'm not even gonna lie. Deidre said, you've had that many times, and all you were left with was a broken heart, a sore back, a stack of bills, and a yeast infection. I said, damn. So let okay. So much is wrong here. But I'm also not mad at Deidre. Deidre is picking because she's trying to be smart, and that is a way for her to protect herself. Because when the homegirls are just falling head over heels for whoever they falling head over heels with, they getting left with bills, sore backs, and yeast infections. That's not advantageous. I think Deidre feels like she doesn't have many choices. Like, Deidre doesn't feel like she can have somebody she actually likes and they not be somebody leaving her with a bill, right? Girl, it's so many isms from the 90s about how women of the 90s were supposed to be. Like, it's a lot of them acting like women of the 90s didn't really want love or were just dick crazy. Like, it's just a lot of stereotypes about professional women in the 90s that sometimes annoys me, right? But anyway, oh, my phone doing something weird. Back to the notes. Bobby, because they made this deal, gets his look together. And I'm like, so why did it take you offering to sell Natalie's coochie to Wayman for you to go get a haircut and start dressing like somebody that wanted their job? He has to be child. When Monroe comes in and sees him all switched up. He's working through lunch. So now he's being the model employee, and Monroe was not expecting it. He was just like, "Oh, you must be on some drugs. Whatever it is, it must be some good shit." Yeah, I love Samuel L. Jackson. Bitch. Okay. Um, but he's happy to see him doing his job. Bobby tells Wayman to come meet him at the club to meet Natalie. But he's supposed to be going out with Deidre. So David and Gary are walking, and Gary speaks to Bobby, and David rushes him into the car. They leaving for the day. So I told y'all about Gary. Gary was already in the mailroom with Bobby. So him and Bobby are cool. David is racist. So David doesn't want Gary, who's now working under him, to be cool with Bobby. So when he stops to dap Bobby off, Gary, it's time to go. Nigga, what's wrong with you? What you want to fuck, Gary? It's very weird. Like, it's weird. You're not territorial over another grown ass man. David tells Gary that he needs a partner so that they can take over this real estate business together. Basically selling this man a dream, and you don't even have the capability of giving him what you are offering. Like, you're not even in position to give that. But you think as long as you have him on your side doing your dirty work for you, that you're going to be able to climb the corporate ladder. That's the idea. Okay. Your career is my career. If I make it, you make it. That's what he tells Gary. Then he drops Gary off in the middle of the fucking highway. Why would you not just bring Gary home? You made Gary get in a car with you, and it didn't even look like a taxi. It looked like your broke ass probably paid for a car to come and pick you up from work. You asked Gary to get in a car so that you can make Gary feel like you're, big man in charge. You got money like that to be having a car service. All for you to drop him off, because you probably couldn't afford the car service to drop Gary off and drop your ass off too, David. So you have Gary left in the middle of the highway. I was just like, this should have let you know right here that David don't really give a fuck about you, because why would he leave you in the middle of the fucking highway? But Gary is a follower. It's so many people that are just fucking followers. So all it takes is a stronger personality to be pushing them to do shit that they really shouldn't be doing. It's ridiculous. Deidre and Wayman are having very mechanical, angry sex. To the left. A little to the left. All right. Almost there. All right. And she eventually gets there. So apparently he did the job right, but it's not passionate. It's not what one would call good sex. But I also feel like there are so many Black women not having orgasms. This was also some movie magic. To me, Wayman wouldn't have been good at sex. Wayman would not have been able to get that lady an orgasm no matter how much instruction that she was giving him. That's nothing about this movie. Why do y'all think a woman would have to give instruction if a nigga knew how to fuck? It was like they wanted us to think that Deidre was such a control freak that she was telling him how to fuck and she couldn't just lay back and enjoy it. No, in real life, when women are giving y'all instruction, when we telling y'all how to do it, is because you don't know what you're doing. You are so entitled and egotistical that you think you should automatically be good at sex with any woman you come into contact with. And that's not how this works. Women are different. They like different things, right? So you got to have a smorgasbord of coochie tricks in order to be good at fucking. Okay? She was ordering him around, but would I have had to order you around if you were good at it? Yeah, nigga called her military coochie. But in my mind, I'm like, if you were good at sex, a bitch wouldn't have to tell you what to do. Good sex equals paying the man's bills. Exactly, Camille. Sex in the City too. Yeah, even amongst white women. Even amongst white women, there is like this mindset that if you want good sex, it's going to have to come from a nigga that ain't got no job, because only somebody that doesn't have a job or doesn't have any real money is going to be good at sex, which I think is ridiculous. But to me, I feel like they was trying to make it seem like, Wayman and Deidre were having bad sex because of Deidre. And I feel like they were having bad sex because of fucking Wayman. Does Wayman look like he knew how to do anything with his hips? Come on. Come on. Like, all Deidre got to do is lay there and put her leg up. You a skinny bitch. You probably got a fat cat. All you got to do is pull your leg up. The nigga is in heaven. You don't have to do all of that. I'm telling y'all not, because we're not about to do this, because y'all gonna try to make Deidre out to be the worst woman. And I feel like this is from the mind of men, men who hate women. They make movies like this. This is a movie made by niggas that hate women, as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Um, but then also, y'all not gonna want to hear this, but is Deidre the archetype of woman that actually might really be a lesbian? Because she does kind of give a vibe to her, right? That very controlling vibe and all of that. And she was disgusted by him when she, you know, she was disgusted by him. And so I often wonder if women who are willing to have sex with men that they are disgusted by is because you really don't want to have sex with the people who you are really turned on by, which is women. So you would rather grit through gross sex with Wayman, right? I'm sorry, y'all. She just, she gave a vibe. She gave a vibe, y'all. I'm just saying. Maybe he just didn't smell nice. No, that wasn't it. That wasn't it. She gave him a wipe and said, "For the thing." Yeah. They made her seem like she ruined it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm just kind of like, nah. If she felt like the sex wasn't good, then the sex wasn't good. Men don't have, like, all they have to have is something squeezing their Johnson. Your vagina naturally is doing a sucking motion when they put it in there. Okay? You don't have to do anything, bitch. They have to be good at it. Okay? They have to be good at it. So if she was giving him all them instruction, that means he didn't know what the fuck he was doing, but we gonna blame it on her and act like she was just mechanical. No. You ever been fucking with somebody and they was just like right on it, but they wasn't on it, and you like, ooh, a little to the left, and they act like they not listening to a nigga to the left. And don't talk about a nigga that fuck your nut up the way you want to kick them niggas in the dick. Oh my God, almost there, and they fuck it up and come quick, nigga. I used to feel so angry in my body at moments like that. Like, oh my God. Let me tell y'all something. This is how you know women and men. Men, y'all are more violent than women, because that's a moment right there that I feel like most women really be wanting to like unalive you niggas, and we don't. Like, a bitch will really want to, like, oh yeah, go down and then put my legs around your fucking neck and choke you with my thigh muscles. Oh my God. I'm sorry, y'all. Girl, the time that a motherfucker has fucked up a nut for me. I wanted to kill him. I wanted to kill him. So, y'all, Wayman, after having disgusting mechanical sex with Deidre, goes to the club to meet with Bobby so that he could finally meet Natalie in person. Because, otherwise he couldn't have just like gave this nigga an address or hooked them up for them to go out to lunch. No, come out to the club. And I think that was because he was trying to help Wayman get a little, get some rhythm in him before he actually met Natalie. Either way, this man comes out, right? He don't want to drink, but you calling him weak if he don't drink, which was another thing that was annoying as fuck to me, right? So it's weak if a man doesn't want to consume alcohol. I don't think it's weak. I don't trust people who don't have vices. But apparently a pretty woman is Wayman's vice, because he's in here losing his fucking shit over it. Okay. But the waitress looks at Wayman crazy because he doesn't want an alcoholic beverage, which kind of annoyed me. That was another thing. I was like, do y'all perceive black women to be this ornery? Like, the waitress in this movie was like upset for no reason. Like, bitch, if you hate your job, just say that. Why are you this mean? Um, just when Wayman is about to leave, Natalie arrives on the dance floor and he tries to get to her, but he can't, which I love. It feels like a dream, right? Because it is a dream, essentially. She's a dream girl. You're not being like real about any of this shit. You come to this club, you're not having a good time, you sitting by yourself, you nursing a non-alcoholic beverage. You see this girl before you about to walk out, and she dancing. Y'all, Halle Berry dancing is hilarious once you figure out that Halle Berry can't dance. I didn't know Halle Berry couldn't dance because of the way they edit things. But Halle always does this one little thing because she can't really dance. And she does it in all of the roles. Whenever she's meant to dance, she does like this little wiggle thing, and it tickles me. Okay. It tickles me. But the wiggle, listen, I don't know why she said she could not dance. But when she mentioned that she can't dance, So she always kind of does like this little wiggle thing. And then I remember seeing it in Baps. Girl, I I die every time. I die. Like, girl, it is hilarious. Okay. So the next morning, Wayman is late for his meeting because he was out all night and he still hadn't met Natalie. He gets reprimanded by his boss. He also overpromises because he told the people who were trying to buy that building, I forgot the name. I have it in my notes down here somewhere. But he overpromised getting them financial projections in a very short time. This was another time where I feel like he was really relying on his secretary to be able to get this shit done for him. Not that he doesn't also work on it, but it was a lot of work, and I think he and her were the only ones doing it. So David sees that Wayman is being reprimanded and follows him into his office. What's wrong, Wayman? Oh my God. David offers to help with the Savoy Tower projections, but Wayman has it covered because Wayman doesn't trust him, but he offered help. David says, "What are friends for?" And Bobby is standing in the doorway. And I had to get y'all, that's the picture right there of Bobby. And the way Bobby is looking at that nigga like friends, like you don't even like black people. How the fuck is Wayman your friend? Because you're trying to use him. Okay. Um, as he walks out, he walked around Bobby, but Bobby was looking at him like, nigga, I wish you would bump me in this motherfucking doorway. Wayman asks what his issue is with David, and he says he's a racist asshole. And then Wayman acts like he did not ask him what the issue was. And he says, listen, don't come in here with all of your radical militant ravings. And I was just like, you know that nigga is racist because you've had to laugh him off. You don't trust him because he's racist. You know he's racist. So why, when Bobby says it, do you dismiss him? Why do you gaslight him in that way? See, that's the shit that I can't fuck with. You know that man is racist. Why are you gaslighting Bobby about it? That shit worked on my nerves. Okay? That shit worked on my nerves. Um, Bobby tells him that if he wants Natalie, it's got to be that night, even though he needs to sleep and finish some work. But he tells Bobby he'll go, but he can't stay out late. First, they have to go shopping because you can't come in here with them lame ass suits on no more. I didn't even know that suits could be lame, especially if they were expensive and tailored well. So I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. I like suits. But I get it. It's the 90s. You need to have some streetwear. You need to have, some joggers and suits and shit like that. You need upscale sweatsuits and shit. So that's what they went shopping for. They got him an upscale sweatsuit situation. It was a jacket. The jacket was like a longer jacket that went down over the waist. But that singed in at some point, child, if I remember. Brooks Brothers is expensive. Yes. Exactly. That's why I was like, why y'all keep acting like them suits not expensive? Like those are nice suits. But I get it. Because he is brainwashed. He has to brainwash himself. You right, Camille. You right. So right before he is about to leave to go out that night, Deidre shows up and tells him that he looks like a jerk. And, "Oh, thanks, honey." And she was like, "Well, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings," but she wasn't wrong. He did look like a fucking jerk. He looked like a tryhard. That's what she meant. When she said jerk, she meant a tryhard because what Wayman looks like is the guy, he looks like a jerk in a bar. If you've ever seen the guys with money that don't have any game, they don't have any real personality, but they'll go and dress the part, but they still don't really have that swag. The way they talk to women, you can tell that they don't know how to talk to women, and also they're like objectifying women at the same time. So I'm talking to you, but from the woman's point of view, you talking to me because you trying to mac on me. But I'm probably not even really your type. So why are you talking to me? Like that's how it comes off. It comes off like a jerk, like you about to be a rich jerk, which you think some cool clothes on trying to talk to me, and you don't even know how to mac. You know what I mean? That's what it gave. So she wasn't even really wrong when she said he looked like a jerk, because he did. She asked if she could come with him, and he says no, he's meeting with his Japanese clients. And then he uses the almighty dollar in order to distract her. If you want me to get all these things for you, you want me to get you a house, you want to get married, you want to do all of that. Oh, well, I have to go out and make this money for you. And see, this is the part where we have to be real about who really is the problem between Deidre and Wayman. Because Wayman could have said, listen, Deidre, I don't want to do this. I don't want to get back together. I don't want to be together. I'm sorry. But instead, he plays with her head to keep her on a string until he can secure Natalie. That's some weak ass shit. I'm just saying, some weak ass shit. Um, I said, how is he supposed to get all the things that she wants if he's not working his tail off night and day trying to fuck Natalie? We discover Wayman has never really been to Harlem. Bobby brings Wayman to meet with Natalie, but she's meeting with some older black men, and these are the Howland brothers. The Howland brothers own Harlem International Bank, but Wayman doesn't know that yet. He just sees some older black men in a black bar and automatically, knocks everybody down to size in his mind. Because brainwashing, right? Yes. Um They dismissed the fuck out of him though. Like, they looked at him like, "If you don't get your lame ass from around us with this shit, like, go on away from us with this." Um, and then my favorite part, one of my favorite parts in the movie, the girl in the bathroom is like, "I don't know, girl. I can't deal with these dudes because this dude talking to me and he ain't got no AP." She said he got too much ain't gots. He ain't got no APT. He ain't got no JOB. And he ain't got no CAR. And her friend said, "Because you can ride the train by yourself, right, sis?" Exactly. And y'all would look at these girls like they are, you look at these girls who say these things like they just looking for a man with money, but they're looking for a man that has all of the shit that they have. Because even if she don't have a car, she got an apartment. Okay? She got her own apartment. She got her own job. She may not even have a car because y'all are in New York. And who the fuck has a car in New York? Girl, get on the train. But you would want a man with money to have a car because that's a sign of the fact that you have money, that you can pay all of that money in New York for a car. Not only, when it comes to having a nice car, but when it comes to housing a nice car in New York. Parking and all of that costs so much money for cars in New York. Okay? Natalie checks on Wayman, but she has to work the room. Women end up getting bullied into drinking. Okay, no, it says women, but Wayman. Wayman ends up getting bullied into drinking by Isaiah Washington, who is playing himself as like a fast talking nigga that obviously wanted to get Wayman drunk so that they could then play pool and he could hustle him out of money. Either way, the man had a whole bunch of money in his pocket, but it's given, why do you have all that cash in your pocket? Because you a hustler, because you hustling people out their ends. And you saw this smart, lame looking nigga and thought that he was somebody that could be a lick, right? So he gets drunk and all of this. And this is another thing about, I don't understand how we're supposed to see this any other way. Wayman is sitting at the bar drunk, talking gibberish. Natalie comes over and says, you're kind of cute, and kisses him on the cheek while Bobby is sitting there with, this look on his face like, yeah, y'all about to get it. But nothing was done. Nothing was done in order for her to want to be with him. That's why it felt like Bobby was selling her to him, because it felt like a lick. It felt like, talk my boy up, flirt with him. I'm trying to get this job. That's what it felt like. Um, it didn't feel real. It didn't feel like Natalie actually was interested in Wayman, but that Bobby wanted Natalie to be interested in Wayman. But they're not going to take that viewpoint, but that's how it felt in the moment. No one to say when, boyfriend. David gets asked by the boss to take on Wayman's smaller deal so that he can focus on that bigger deal uh with the tower. Child, I'm gonna keep forgetting the name of that damn tower. But anyway, work on the sale of that big building, which David feels a way about, but he's an ass kissing employee, so he's gonna act like he's okay with this. But it was a hit to his ego that they want him to handle Wayman's lesser deals so that Wayman can focus on the big deal, right? Because you have time to focus on these lesser deals because you ain't doing shit but worrying about what Wayman got going on. You might as well do some of his work. Okay. But he's gonna use that as an opportunity to try to ruin Wayman. So Wayman sends Natalie some flowers. Wayman and his mother-like assistant finished the Savoy projections on time. Wayman says that he will send the projections through a professional messaging company, but Bobby convinces him, like over and over again, says it. Let me take it so that you could actually focus on getting busy with Natalie, which was also very weird to me. I don't know. Whenever a man is bucking another man up to fuck, I feel weird about it. I don't know what that's about. Like, you have no dog in the fight. Your dick is not going to get wet when his dick gets wet. So why are y'all always like trying to make sure that another guy is getting fucked? It's almost like it's really about, it's really about the subjugation of the woman. It reminds me of the Players Club, when Ice Cube's character tells Ronnie's brother that, oh, she'll let you fuck. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and get that. Like, that's weird to me. That's so weird to me. No working for it. No, it wasn't really no working for it. Like, he came and sat at a bar. She barely talked to him. He sends her flowers the next day. Wayman says that he will send the projections. Bobby tells him that he can do it so he can focus on fucking Natalie. Great. Because you're like real entwined into when these people are going to have sex. Instead of I hook them up, just let it be what it's going to be. Whatever. Deidre is having a party at her house, and Wayman is supposed to be bringing some eligible bachelors, but the only person we see there is fucking David. And David brought some woman that looks like a streetwalker. Do y'all see it? Like, she's giving Jersey streetwalker is what that woman was giving. Definitely not giving the caliber of woman of the black women that are walking around in this, this party. Why would you bring David? That's another thing. Wayman, you ain't shit, because why the fuck would you bring racist David to this party? Oh my God, that worked on my nerves. So Bobby shows up blasting his music outside, and Kim Coles is like, hey, nigga, stop with the ignorant shit. Turn that fucking music down. Okay. And he like, get your skinny leg ass back inside, because he's a disrespectful nigga, right? Disrespectful niggas, they should be able to play loud music and just disturb the peace, and then walk up to the house and talk to the lady all disrespectful, and then find out that's where you were supposed to be going. So he goes up there. Him and Kim Coles are going back and forth. But while that's going on, Wayman is inside checking the fuck out of Deidre, because Deidre is talking bad about the black kids. So we have to make you really dislike Deidre, right? If you already didn't dislike Deidre, now they're having a moment where Deidre is talking about how the young black youth, she doesn't see that they can compete with other races of people. And I want to be clear, they was trying to make it seem like she was so wrong. She's right and she's wrong, because there is a group of young people that, because y'all are grooming them to be anti everything, no, they're not going to go into college and some of these workspaces the way they should. Look at the way Bobby showed up. Like, somebody had to want to fuck a woman in order for Bobby to get a fucking haircut and act like he wanted the job that he had. Like, that was the only way that he was going to show up the way he needed to show up to get the promotion, was because the homeboy wanted a woman. And so now you're going to do what you need to do, because I'm giving you the opportunity if only you selling me some coochie. Y'all, this is very stupid shit going on. Okay. Either way, we got to really make you hate Deidre. So he's saying, these kids, I just really don't think they're going to be able to compete. Eventually, she was not wrong, but it wasn't just the black kids. It's the white kids too that can't really compete. Thanks, Bush. That was to come. That hadn't happened yet, but still. But what she said was meant to have been like something ignorant and prejudice for a black woman to say about the black youth. That was the only way that we were going to cement it being okay for Wayman to treat Deidre the way he did, right? Because, yeah, Deidre's controlling, but you knew that, and you still got back with her. And then you lied to her and, in essence, started to pursue another woman while keeping her in the chamber just in case. That was fucked up. But we have to feel like it's okay for him to treat Deidre this way. So now we hear Deidre talking about black kids. And now, of course, we're going to be like, fuck Deidre, because she said something about some black kids. All right. And so this is at the time when Bobby is coming in. So now he got balls with Bobby there by his side. Now he could tell Deidre that he don't want to be with her no more. And this was so fucked up because he could have told her this shit in private. But no, he tells her at this party in front of everybody, humiliating her and embarrassing her in front of all of her friends and her coworkers. And then it looked like some people in the background was laughing and smiling about it because they don't like Deidre. So that meant that this was okay. You better get your black ass back here. I'm giving you by the count of 3. 1. He was gone. And then, of course, they're in the car and Bobby is making fun of the fact that she's a, skinny body and military sex. And then David tells Gary to be somewhere and he doesn't care what Gary is doing, but he needs to get there. So we see that going on simultaneously. Natalie's party gets shut down because the IRS shut down the club and the owner didn't tell her because once again, owner is a white guy who's a snake who's just using her because she's bringing people in, but he's not telling her what's going on with the business. And he was talking to her about some type of shared opportunity that she was supposed to get and it never really happened. So they walk and talk and her and Wayman. And she says that nothing she does ever works out the way she planned for it, right? So she's having a bad day and he's supposed to be making her feel better. But then, she says that she wanted to be a dancer, but it barely pays the bills. So now her dream is to own her own club. And he says that he wanted to play guitar as a kid, but his parents wouldn't pay for it. So he gave up. And now he wonders if he hadn't quit back then, because he decided to pay for it. Well, try himself. He couldn't pay for it. So he decided to try to teach himself, but eventually he gave up and he wonders what he would have been had he not given up. And that said a lot to me. It said that I wanted to have a creative outlet and my dad said he would not pay for it. So that means anything that would have given me some connection to myself, he didn't want me to have that. He only wanted me to be connected to this system so I would be able to be successful, but not a full person that has hobbies and other shit that he likes to do besides slaving for a white man so that I can make a lot of money. And that's sad, but that a lot of the times, like black families did look down on music and things of that nature because they didn't want you to only want to be a musician. And, that's fine. But my God, on today, the boy could have learned guitar and still did all of the things that he did. Not we need to protect black women question mark. But either way, this conversation leads to Holly Berry, Natalie's character, Natalie and Wayman fucking. She undresses him. She's the sex kitten. It seemed like it was her place. So it seemed like she created the vibe. She was kind of in control. And then it seems like the sex with her is more passionate. And I'm like, it seemed like she the one that took control. So if the sex was good, it was because of her, not because of him. That's how I felt once I saw that, especially in juxtaposition to the way they did Deidre in that sex scene. So David and Gary sneak into Wayman's office and change the projection so that, it'll ruin his Savoy contract. The next morning, Bobby takes the file that was sitting on Wayman's desk and threw away the other stuff. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. But then Wayman gets a call that the projections were wrong. And instead of trying to figure out what happened, he automatically blames Bobby, goes down to the mailroom and hems Bobby up in front of everybody, which gives Monroe the, you heard him, get out of here, you're fired, that shit. And I felt like, again, why not have a conversation? It's your boy. Why would you not just talk to him? Why did you hem him up like that in front of everybody? Just total like disrespect for no reason. And that's because of this hierarchy shit. At that job, he's important and Bobby isn't. So he can go down there and assault Bobby and fire him and it's all good. Would you have done that to somebody that wasn't considered your friend? No. And that's where I find like shit be fucked up because that was just wrong to me. So while Wayman is trying to find another buyer for the Savoy Tower, Natalie shows up and he kind of had like this, like you, ain't it funny? Ain't it funny? You was just chasing this lady. She walk into a room, your eyes are starry. Now she's coming to go to lunch with you because you told her to come and see you at lunch. So she comes. And now you got a fucking attitude and talking about you're just having the worst day of your life. And she says that's going around. Did you hear Bobby got fired? And he says, I'm sure he'll be, okay. He's a big boy. And she was like, well, what is that supposed to mean? Noticing the attitude that he has, Wayman says, he'll be fine. She says, I thought you two were friends. He says, hardly. And if he wasn't dragging me around the city running after you, then I wouldn't have messed up this business deal. And that's another thing. Bobby wasn't dragging you anywhere. You offered Bobby a work position to get you access to Natalie. You offered that. He didn't offer that to you. He didn't even want to hook you up with Natalie because he thought you was fucking lame. But until it was advantageous to him, that's when he decided to do it. But I think it's fucking ridiculous. Ridiculous the way you turned that and flipped that so quickly. A moment that was supposed to be fleeting, right? This is a moment where he's thinking about something else, but he actually says up out of his fucking mouth that Bobby had him running all around the city chasing Natalie as if you shouldn't have been chasing Natalie. But it's funny because it gave that now that you got her, you no longer value her in the same way. That's what it gave. It gave as soon as you fucked her, she was no longer of the same value. And I think that's how she felt when he said that shit to her. Because they had just fucked and you ain't did shit else but send some funky fucking flowers and pop up at my job looking stupid. But yeah, okay. Girl, she tells him, she asked him to clarify what the fuck he's talking about, and he says nothing. She tells him to shove it and then to drop dead, which I did like about her. She had a fast reaction to that shit. His assistant tells him that the projections don't match the copies that she made before she sent them off or before she put them on his desk. Someone changed the projections and it wasn't Bobby. And to me, if you weren't so full with rage when you saw that the shit didn't go the way you thought it should go, you should have calmed down and investigated what happened. But instead, you flew off the fucking handle and went and assaulted Bobby. And that's because you don't know how to control your own emotions, right? Your assistant had to come in and tell you, Wayman, don't snap at me. And then she had to tell you what the fuck was going on. When really, you could have just calmed the fuck down and asked her, can you give me a copy of the projections that we did? Because they saying this and that's not the projections that we did. Like, it didn't even make sense. But, they had to write it in there, giving him a reason to go at Bobby fucked up. When Bobby gets fired, Gary saw it and Gary felt bad because Gary likes Bobby. So Wayman goes to find Bobby in a crack house. And that's another thing. I was like, so Bobby couldn't have been at his mama's house with all of them kids and shit, helping her take care of them children. Oh no. This nigga is in a crack house somewhere with a bunch of other dudes that don't have no fucking jobs, his homeboys, right? And Wayman comes to apologize to Bobby. One of the dudes walks in front of him like he don't want to talk to you. We ain't got no crack for you, homeboy. We ain't got like he coming to get drugs or something and talking to Wayman all crazy. He was trying to punk Wayman, and Wayman was like, I don't know who the fuck you think I am, but I'm not that. So Wayman pushed him and said, man, get the fuck out of my face. Like, what you want to do? You want a piece of me? Like, the fuck? Cause like, really, nigga, I'm bigger than you. Like, what you want to do? Like, at some point, y'all got to stop acting like cause a nigga got on a suit that they can't fight or something. Like, I don't know what that's about. But anyway, Wayman apologizes to Bobby. And he says he wants to quit. He was like, I really want to quit. And Bobby was like, bro, you can't quit your job, bro. And another part of the conversation was Bobby saying black people always judging each other. And that's true. We are always judging each other, but everything for real is a byproduct of racism. The fact that we think black people are supposed to be operating outside of the norm for how they've been treated, meaning that we're going to treat each other the way we're treated by white people. That's just how this system is set up because it's a racist hierarchy, right? We're coming from slavery. Everything coming from slavery means that all of our relationships are hierarchical, which means that if we get upset with somebody, then we can put our hands on them. We can disrespect them because now we're upset and we're in a hierarchy. All of that shit comes, like, to me, that shit comes from slavery and from the barbaricness of the Europeans. Okay? Because they said the natives was not beating their kids until the white people taught them that they should beat their kids. So, yeah. All of that violence just because you don't get along with somebody. Yeah, I think that shit is taught. And it's taught because parents are in a hierarchical relationship with their children based off of what they were raised to believe. And all of that stems from slavery. So it's okay to put your hands on people when they upset you. So then when they grow up and they putting hands on other people, I was listening to a girl on TikTok today talk about, how you can't be assuming that your sons are not lying to you about the things they do out in the world. And she gave an example about how her son would go and hit somebody. And then when they hit him back, he come running to her crying, acting like they did it to him first. And she knew this, right? But it was another time she said he lied to me straight to my face. He gonna tell me he don't cuss. And then I looked at his phone and saw all of them cuss words. I said, I thought you said you don't cuss. And then he went to lie and she popped him in his mouth for lying. And I'm like, but then you wonder why he going around hitting people? Imma leave y'all alone. But I do feel like when you don't you think because you're doing these things in the confines of a hierarchy that means that it's happening in a vacuum and it's not gonna have the effects that it has, right? So you think if I'm hitting my kid because I'm disciplining them, it's not going to make them violent, but it does. You feel me? Okay. So, in essence, I'm saying the way Wayman handled Bobby with the automatic aggression, the way the black community kind of handles each other, automatic aggression, this is by way of how white people have been treating us. And we just are kind of like doing what we've been taught automatically, which is why it takes so much deconstructing of race, of religion, of all of that shit to free yourself from these things that I think bind you. Um but yeah, that's me being deeper than a lot of people want me to go. Wayman, Wayman wants to quit, but Bobby says he can help him. He can help him close the Savoy Tower deal. So David thinks that he's the boss. So he takes a long lunch, right? Him and he's like, I'm the boss now. Let's take a long lunch. So him and his little lackey homeboy go out. While they're going out, Bobby brings in the Hollering brothers who own Harlem International Bank. And of course, Wayman did not know that. But when he sees them, he's like, oh, you guys must have thought that I was a jerk. Now, when Deidre said that you was a fucking jerk and that you looked like a jerk, thanks, babe. No, but she was right. You look like a fucking jerk. Because the Hollering brothers, when they first saw you in that exact same outfit, they thought you was a jerk too. And you thought that they thought you was a jerk. Okay. So they make the deal. And when they are walking out, David and another one of the employees are coming back from lunch. And their boss, Drake, says, are you just coming back from lunch? I'm going to talk to you about that later, David. And then he sees Bobby. I thought you were fired. What are you doing here? And then the boss, Drake, says, well, he's not fired anymore. David says, well, I'm going to go over your head about this, Drake. It's like, nigga, what? You going to go over my head? See, that's why you can't trust suck ups because they're weasels. They'll kiss your ass and then go and kiss the ass of the person above you to snake you. And I thought you liked me, nigga. Not really, just wanted your job. Okay. Weasels. So David says he's going to go over Drake's head and take it up with the board. And Gary comes out of nowhere and says, and say what? Then he tells them that he changed the projections on Wayman's deal and he's sorry. He knows he shouldn't have done it. Bobby pulls the log and finds that they actually signed in at midnight. So it's funny. Like, so you actually signed in to come and do the work that you didn't want us to know that you did. Okay. That was dumb. The dumbass actually signed in, and David snatches the book out of Bobby's hand and is about to call him the N-word when Wayman knocks his ass out. So that was another thing. Throughout this movie, the more violent that Wayman has gotten, the more brownie points he's gotten. That's another thing I saw. Like, yeah, you deserve to get punched in the mouth for trying to call that man a nigga in front of a room full of people. Absolutely. That's fine. But at the same time, it was just kind of like, so Wayman needed to be more aggressive as well. So that's another thing we're seeing that makes Wayman cooler by the time we get to the end of the movie is him being able to knock the fuck out of, anybody really. He about to fight the homeboys at the crack house. Now he about to, now he knocking out David at the job. Okay. Nobody can stop him. But the older white men were actually pleased. One of them older white men was like, I don't like that nigga because he seemed like he was good at his job. That older white man that they called in to help do the numbers before they called in Drake, that man looked like he was so happy to see David get knocked the fuck out. I think y'all might be able to see it in the screenshot I got on the screen. But anyway, then Wayman goes to get Natalie and he gets down on one knee. Y'all see this at the top and he begs Natalie. And this is a part that we're missing from you niggas. I am sorry. I do miss a begging ass nigga, just in general. You know what I'm saying? Now y'all act like y'all don't have to beg us because y'all are the prize, and y'all are not the prize, and you should be begging. Like, when you fuck up, you should be begging. Like, I appreciated the fact that he was coming to beg. Like, he was happy to get down on his knees and beg. Okay? And I put in my notes, we miss these types of niggas. You know, I'm wrong. I'm wrong, baby. I'm sorry. Cause nowadays niggas like to gaslight you and act like they ain't do nothing wrong. So they end up getting back together because he got on his knees and apologized. Again, not really much work for a relationship with a woman that you don't even really know like that. Anyway. And then he buys her own club in partnership with the Hollering Brothers. I'm not gonna lie, I thought that was dope because I don't think that's primarily centered around her relationship with him. That was her relationship with the Hollering Brothers too. Like, she had a relationship with those men, and he just went to them, with Bobby to try to do this for her as a surprise. But I feel like if she had wanted to do it and she had went to the Hollering Brothers, they probably would have done it for her anyway. But yeah, so now he's gotten her a club. And then Bobby finally got the job, y'all. He was a real estate. He was then in Wayman's old office, the office that Wayman used to be in. That's the office that Bobby was in. And so Bobby's wearing the suits now, but the suits are fly. And so him and Wayman, they clocking out. All right, bro, you ready? And now they going to Natalie's club. And they also, obviously Bobby seems to work in a club. One of his homeboys that got into it with Wayman at the crack house, now he's a bouncer. So it was the when we get on, we trying to help our people, get on. We trying to create businesses. We trying to help them get on. That's the bright spot about the early 90s, is because it did feel like that. It felt like a whole bunch of Black people trying to own businesses and get their own so that they can help their own, right? That was the idea. Over time, what did we find? You can't give all these niggas jobs because a lot of these niggas were not raised right. They're not disciplined. They're reckless. They don't do what they supposed to do, and they start to feel entitled to shit. And so even when they are fucking up, you can't even really reprimand them because they feel like, you gave them a job and, you should be grateful. Y'all know how niggas can be sometimes, just completely ass backwards. I do not remember her in Jungle Fever. Go watch it back. It's because she looked like a crackhead. That's why you didn't remember her, because she wasn't pretty Holly. It wasn't like that. She was like a crackhead, like in a crack house. But yeah, she was Samuel L. Jackson's girlfriend. So Deidre and her homegirls, because if we're not going to do anything, we have to humiliate the woman that we don't like up until the very end. Because there was no reason for this. Why the fuck would Deidre ever be coming to a club that Bobby and them, like, this is not her crowd. So why would she even be there? But that's the idea, right? Y'all was uptight. Y'all didn't want hood niggas, right? Now it's cool to be a hood nigga, and now y'all come running y'all asses down to the hood to be by the hood niggas. But no, we don't want y'all. We don't want y'all. That's the idea, right? Yeah. Niggas not turning down none of them women. I'm sorry. Like, nobody's turning down any of them women in real life. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, y'all, that's strictly business. That was strictly business. And I think there were a lot of things going on here, y'all. Um, First of all, I thought it was funny that there were no women besides secretaries at Wayman's job. We never found out what the fuck Deidre did. We just know that Deidre was in charge at her job, and she also, worked in a high rise and, seemingly had the same type of setup as Wayman did when it came to coworkers and all of that. All in all, Wayman helps Bobby get on, but Bobby had to help himself, right? Natalie is a figment of these niggas' imagination as far as I'm concerned, because we never even saw anything about her personality for real, except the fact that when she felt disrespected, she was willing to tell you niggas to kiss her ass and run out. We knew that. That was about it. But anyway, y'all, that was strictly business. It was good, y'all. This is still one of my favorites from back in the day, early 90s movies. But it's a lot of stereotypes. And that's why I get so aggravated nowadays when we have certain conversations, because I remember what it was like in the 90s and what was being promoted in the 90s and what was more honestly, usual in the 90s, which was for women to be centering men and doing anything for a man, no matter whether the woman was in a job like Deidre, or the woman was trying to figure her shit out like Natalie, or the white assistant, Wayman's white lady assistant. or Bobby's fucking mama. Like, you are there to be the object of a man's whatever. So yeah, women as passing characters, but not as full human beings. Deidre's just a bitch, and Natalie is just a dream girl. Yeah, but Bobby and fucking Wayman can be multi-dimensional characters that are both dealing with, internalized racism, and also dealing with trying to retain connection to blackness, right? We can get this nuance of his character. We get this nuance of Bobby's character that goes from being somebody that doesn't give a fuck about anything to trying to prove himself and being a good guy. You know what I mean? And what that meant to be a good guy to Wayman and finally get on and all of that. Money is the success. Money is the final, we made it. Yeah, it's not like that anymore, y'all. Money doesn't signify that you've made it to me anymore. Yes, it helps. It helps you have a better life. We always want money. I have a great relationship with money. Money likes me. Okay? But ultimately, it doesn't rule me, and it's not the end all be all. And there are so many more things that are important, that make a life feel rich, that make a life feel well lived, that make a life feel great. You know what I mean? It's not always having a whole bunch of money, sometimes having happiness, having centeredness, you know what I'm saying? Having stability, liking yourself, those things. But yeah, okay, I might do Welcome Home Roscoe Jenkins next. That's been on my list for a minute now, and that's one of my favorite movies to watch just for no reason. She was in that scene in the dark on like a schoolyard standing with Samuel L. Jackson twitching. But anyway, love you guys. I hope y'all have a really good Halloween. Thank y'all for joining me, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace out.